What's good, Commanders fans? The Washington Commanders have released wide receiver, kick returner Byron Pringle. Somewhat of a surprising move. I am looking at the depth chart, and they did have six receivers. They had seven, including him. After they brought in Noah Brown, it was of course Terry, Diami, Alameda, Noah, Luke, Jamison Crowder, and then Byron Pringle. So that would have been seven. Which, do I agree with this move? I'm not gonna cry over Byron Pringle being released. I do think he's a solid returner. I think he's a solid number 5 or number 6, 7 guy on your roster. So I'm not like, jumping on the table for him to be released or anything like that. So I'm kind of indifferent with this move. It is somewhat of a surprise, though. I mean, I really thought they had plans for him as a kick returner. And I'm pretty sure the depth chart had him as the number one, him and I think Noah I as a kick returner, which was definitely interesting for sure. So I don't know if they're going to try to promote Casimir Allen off the practice squad and then put him as the main kick returner, like him and Noah I, because Noah Igbenagabe, he was doing I know he was listed as a kick returner. Let me pull up this official depth or the official depth chart, which I get it doesn't really it's not the end all be all of all things, but it's interesting. This really is, man. So yeah, kick returner, yeah, Byron Pringle and then Alameda Zacchaeus they were listed as the two kick returners, and then the punt returner, of course, was Jameson Crowder and Alameda. So Byron being released is certainly a surprise to me. Maybe they pick him up on a practice squad a couple weeks later, So some people are saying maybe Nick Bellore is going to be elevated to the roster, which I think that is going to happen because they want him to play. They want him to play special teams, so he's gonna play. Nick Bellore is gonna play this weekend for sure. And then in other news, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on Byron Pringle. Byron Pringle, what were his numbers last year? He was a Bieniemy guy too, and Eric Bieniemy brought him in after he was with the Chiefs. And Byron Pringle had a couple of productive seasons in the league. Well, he had one productive season. He had a season in 2021 where he had 42 catches for 568 yards and 5 touchdowns. Last year, he had 14 catches for 161 yards, no touchdowns. But that one season in 2021, he had 5 touchdowns, and they brought him in late in the season as well, like kind of later in the process of training camp or mini camp. They kind of brought him in a little bit later, kind of like how they brought in Martavis Bryant pretty late in the offseason process. But kick returns, he had a kick return touchdown in 2020, so I thought he could have been used, man. I really do. I thought he could have been used a couple times. He had 9 kick returns last year with us. His longest kick return last year was for 40 yards. So, I mean, I thought he was a guy that could have been used. But they really believe in Kaz Allen. I'm not big on Casimir Allen. We'll see if he is the guy that gets promoted to the 53-man roster or is active on game day. But if this move was to release him to promote Casimir Allen, then I'm not really, fully endorsing the move. It's not like I have a say, but it's not like I'm really like, oh my gosh, this is such a good move that they made. So we'll see. We'll trust the process and see what happens on Sunday, before 4:30 or 4:05. But the other news is we do have some clarity on Johnny Jerzon Newton. I was pretty sure this is what was going to happen anyway with Johnny Newton. So Johnny Newton is now doubtful. He has now been listed as doubtful. He most likely is not going to play. And I kind of expected that a little bit too, to be honest with you. So he's out. He's going to be out. Marcus Mariota's out, which doesn't really matter in my opinion. You always need a good backup, but you can argue that Jeff Driscoll would be just as productive as Marcus Mariota. But Johnny Newton is listed as doubtful, so they didn't wait until Sunday, a game time decision like I thought it was going to be. But he's listed as doubtful. So on an optimistic side or a positive way to look at the Johnny Newton situation or Jerzon Newton is don't rush him back. Should they put him on short-term injury reserve and have him miss 4 games? I don't know if the injury is to that extent or they need to do that. Like Jordan McGee, he's going to miss the first X amount of games or how many games he has to miss. So is that a situation with Johnny Newton? Is it going to be a Curtis Samuel type of situation where each week we don't know is he going to play or what? He's getting closer and closer, but Friday, he's sitting out on Thursday and then he's playing on Friday or limited and then we get to Sunday and he's not playing. Or Friday afternoon they see him practice and they decide not to play him. So is it going to be a situation like that? And did they know what they were getting into when he had to have a second surgery or another surgery on the other foot and then now he has a soft tissue injury. So it's something to monitor with Johnny Newton. Like I said, I'm not getting worked up or anything like that, but the concern level for me is still pretty low. But we do have to keep an eye on it for sure. We have seen injuries happen with players, and when they come in, I know this is a different regime and stuff, training staff and whatnot. So we'll see what happens with the Johnny Jerzon Newton situation. But we have seen in the past where players as rookies have come in with injuries, like Fedarian Mathis has battled to get back on the field. Sadiq Charles, his injury history was awful when he came in. Then Bryce Love had to end up retiring. So like I said, the previous regime and whatnot. So it's a new day, new dawn, new day. So let's just see how this situation unfolds with Johnny Newton. But when I heard, he was limited and whatnot, I had a feeling that he was not going to play. So, we'll see. We'll see. There's a reason why he dropped out of the first round, though. There's a reason, and I guess we're starting to see why. But even in college, even though he had that injury, he did play through it a lot. He played through it a lot in that year at Illinois. Like, he played a lot of snaps and still played through that injury and was still very, very productive. But, is this why he dropped to the second round? Because he was not supposed to be available in the second round. So we'll see what happens with Johnny Jerzon Newton. And then the other move, like I said, Marcus Mariota was listed as out. Yeah, they actually ruled him out. So will Sam Hartman be elevated to the roster? We'll see. But like I said, we'll see what happens with the Byron Pringle move. Is this a corresponding move where, they bring in another wide receiver, they sign another wide receiver, or do they just elevate somebody from the practice squad like Mitchell Tinsley or Bryson Tremaine, or do they elevate Nick Ballore to the active roster? So we'll see what happens with that. All right, you guys let me know what you guys think. If there's anything that stood out to you guys or anything that's concerning. As always, Healthy Commanders, peace.